have a Mr. Cool mini split that has an E1 area code, and I'm doing a recording to show how I diagnose the issue with the code and how to fix it. A little background information. I purchased this Mr. Cool DIY 12K through Costco in April of 22. I installed it in May of 22. And then I got the E1 error code on January of 23. Upon getting that error code, I reviewed the video that Mr. Cool have on YouTube relating to it. And then I contacted Mr. Cool, got the diagnosis procedure or flowchart, and then work with Mr. Cool to get a replacement control board. Also view this Mr. Cool video on how to change the control board. I found that the procedure and the replacement video were quite lacking in details that I decided to put together this recording. I'm not going to explain everything that's already shown in Mr. Cool video, or that's easy to do. And rightly or wrongly, this was how I did it. And I would ask Mr. Cool to correct or improve on anything that they see here. So I'm going to just jump right into it here. So this is the flow chart on the left side. Here is what I got from Mr. Cool. And in the flow chart, it said to, turn off the power and then restart the unit again, and 2 minutes later to see the error code goes away. It did not. So the answer is no. So you follow the flow chart here is to measure VS to see if it fluctuates between negative 25 and positive 25. I took the measurement and it turned out to be negative 27. And so therefore, I followed the no arrow here. And it's said to check make sure the wirings are connected properly. Of course, my system have been working for 7 or so months, so it was correctly wiring. So the issue then is next is to replace the indoor control board. On checking this VS, Mr. Cool did not provide any guidance on what VS is. I called back to the person that sent me this, and they said no, they don't have any other information on what VS is. I looked on YouTube and found, based on this video on YouTube, found that VS is the voltage between the terminal 2 and terminal 3 right here, the white wire and the black wire. And that's how I measure my VS to be negative 27 volt, and it does not fluctuate. That's how I measure VS, and so this is one of the areas in which it's lacking of directions from Mr. Cool. So I asked for the control board and working through the warranty department, and it was pretty quickly. Mr. Cool promptly sent me the control board within about a few days to a week or so. On getting the control board now, and then I look at this video how to replace the control board, and found the video to not adequately details. For example, show the video with the Mr. Cool unit on the bench, and of course that's easy to work on because my unit's on the wall, and it would be difficult and not not practical to take it off and change the control board, so it needs to be worked on the wall. So the first thing that Mr. Cool to do is to remove this small cover the control board. So if you stick the screwdriver right here and pry it open, that was pretty easy. And then there's 2 tabs in here that come out. That's pretty easy. However, this portion right here remains stuck. Uh, I could not take it out uh, quite some time. And eventually, what I did to get it out was to find a thin, small flathead screwdriver, stick it to this area right here in this gap, and and you know uh, push the handle of the screwdriver down and pry this up and pop open. This shows kind of the back side of that cover. So there's a snap down here where you stick this in. There are two tabs over here that goes into here. And then there's these two snaps that go into holes in there and there. I'm not quite sure how I stick the screwdriver in there and pop it out, but that's what happened, and that's how it popped out. And I could not make sense of how to get these two snaps out properly, the way that it was. And I'll have a little bit to say about this a little later. So after I pop that out, next is to remove the front cover. What I meant by the front cover is this cover in the front of the unit, air handler unit right here. Um, to remove that, basically there's this cable that connect to that front cover that need to be disconnected. Behind here is the connector. So, make sure to take a picture, see how the cabling is routed and so on, and then you disconnect this cable. That's what I did. And then after you disconnect this cable, you can push out at the pivot right here, the pivot pin. Push this out to that side, and there's a corresponding one on the left side. Push that out, and then the cover comes right out. So this show here the unit with that front cover removed. And then after that, I removed the two filters here. Okay. And after removing the two filters, you see the unit like this. And like in Mr. Cool video, you take out these three screws. There's one hidden screws down here um, that you need to take out. However, to take out along this top here was not that obvious or easy as in Mr. Cool video. I basically manually reach at each these locations and pop them out of the retaining feature that retain this cover to the slots. So after I pop out all five of those, then I can slightly rotate this forward and remove the cover, that large cover. After that done, make sure to take pictures of how these cables are routed here. There are three different cables, and there's this sensor that located right here. So just be aware of that. Um, Next, I realized that the new control board that I received, which I hold on the right here, right next to the existing control board in my air handler, looks different in this area right here. And I found that it's different because there is this small cover, small harness cover that need to be removed in order to access uh, these cable connections on the inside. So to remove that small cover, there's a tab right here, tab right here. You push them out, and then you grab in this area to lift it out, and that's remove that small cover from the existing air handler. After that, what I did was I removed these screws and disconnect these wires from the existing air handler. However, there's issues. Once I loosen this screw completely, you cannot really pull out these wires. And what I did is I have to insert in a flat screwdriver as shown here. And and then I figure out that I need to insert this because I look on the new control board and I found that there's these metals or these features that kind of grab and retain the wire. And so by sticking this in, since this wire had this feature in it, it kind of gets trapped so that with this, it released. So that's, it seems like I thought it was simple. You just loosen these screws and pull. But no, here you have to, mine gets stuck anyway. In my particular case, I have to stick in this small thin screwdriver and it would release to remove. So hope that would help you. After I removed those cover, then I went to disconnect these harness. However, before you do that, make sure again to take pictures, see how these cables are routed. This is show the cable unrouted before I disconnect them. And it's not that easy to disconnect these either. It seems like you could just pinch and pull. I tried that, didn't quite work for me. So you could see, after I make that there is a little ledge back here on this part. This is after I disconnect the cable. And also a little ledge down here for this other connector that, the harness side is catch onto. So for this one to release from that catch, I stick in my screwdriver again behind to kind of unlatch it from that catch feature, and then it was easy to pull. And for this one here, I just use a screwdriver to push where you're supposed to pinch with your finger. And then it was easy to pull. For whatever reason, I don't know why when I pinch with my finger right here, it does not release properly or as easily. So that was kind of how to take everything out. And then it's easy enough to just reverse the procedure to put everything back in. A couple of things I want to mention on putting it back in. It wasn't obvious to me how far to stick in this wire to put it back in. From the look of it, I see some marking on the wire kind of in the middle here, this area here. So I know that the screw tip kind of screw on into that area. So I mark how long the length here that I need to insert it back in with a little marker. And then I stick it back in that depth and then I screw back in, tighten the screws. That's how to, get it back in the proper distance. You don't want to, in my opinion, over insert it or under insert it so that it, get caught in some other spot. And hopefully Mr. Cool can correct me here if the screw is supposed to screw down in this area or whether it's supposed to screw down in some other spot or some other areas. That's better. Feel free to comment. After I install everything back in, of course, I go back to close this cover that was difficult to remove, and I could not, I pressed reasonably hard in this area, but I could not engage that snap that to hold this in this area. So as you can see here, after it's installed, that there's a slight gap right here. However, I'm not too concerned about it, as this makes it easy to remove next time, so I need to remove it, and that small gap doesn't bother me that much. But if somebody smarter than me figure out that how to easily install and remove this portion, feel free to comment. And thank you for watching.